Would you say this is the best short that we've ever done?
This is the only time I've ever walked off set.
Those are like the films I like the least.
I was like, all right, fine, you shoot the movie then. And I just like walked off set.
Dude, what an asshole thing to do.
No, for
Everyone else
sure.
on the crew would be like, yo, fuck Jake.
All right, welcome back to the No Late Fees podcast. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, store looks a little bit different.
A little different. It's got a little upgrade.
Yeah. I mean, so when we like first built this store, we built it in a way with like very like nondescript tapes where when you walk in, it's sort of like, oh, this is a video store, but like it's kind of like our own little spin on it.
Yeah.
But we shot a short film that needed to take place in like a 90s, early 2000s blockbuster or video store. So we bought like 400 VHS tapes on eBay, lined it all up, and then after the short film, we were like, you know what, we might have to keep it this way.
Yeah.
So
No, it looks really good, and it looked phenomenal on camera. I mean, like when we were like lighting and setting everything up, it was just like, dude, it looks so good. Would you say this is the best short that we've ever done?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of going through the just filmography of everything we've shot. And there's like a spectrum of like the ones that were the most fun to shoot and then the ones that were like, they just look amazing.
Right.
I think for me, one of the more fun ones was Cat and Mouse because I had just got into Steadicam.
Right.
And it was a massive challenge to do a whole oneer
Oneer.
through all those skinny little alleyways, not trying to mess up your new house and stuff. And that one still, I think, is amazing. But like in terms of like it being like a short that has like a character development, it's very much sort of like a
just like a
spectacle.
visual short
Yeah.
film. There's not too much depth to it or whatever. Whereas
Two dudes
like
break in, chick gets kind of scared. That's it. Like it's literally it, you know.
Right.
Where this one, our short film that we just shot last week, it's kind of similar to our pod. It's called Late Fees.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if you want to like maybe talk about like the idea and how we kind of came up with it.
Yeah, I mean,
and
when we were building out this store initially for Prism Lens Effects, and we were building it out, and it was turning into the 90s store right before our 90s video store right before our eyes, we started riffing on like, dude, we have to shoot something. And naturally, like with all of our film sets and all our locations, every time we're building a set, we're like always talking about like, oh, like it'd be cool to shoot this in here or this. And I know we started riffing on, you know, just like, dude, we have to shoot a short film in here. And then we started riffing on the idea of like, okay, what does that short look like? And we came up with what I feel like was this really cool story where I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, we'll save that for a later episode.
Yeah.
But we came up with this really cool story. And then, you know, I'm not like, I feel like you're similar to me. Like we have like really good ideas and we can come up with like a story, but I myself as a director am not necessarily the best writer. Like I struggle with maybe like putting together an actual like script and dialogue, can come up with the ideas for days, like but putting that idea to paper in a script format with dialogue where there's like cohesion in that way, I struggle with that. And so I usually partner with a writer. And for this particular short, I had put out, and I had a couple other ideas, but I had put out word on Instagram like, hey, looking for a writer to work with on my next short film. And then, funny enough, Nick Jandora was one of the people that had DM'd me back and was just like, yo, like, you know, I'm down to write something. And I sent him kind of the breakdown, the story that we had like come up with. And actually for three of them, three different ideas. And I was like, which one resonates with you the most? And he said Late Fees. And he took a stab at writing. I don't know how many pages was it? Like couple pages, Nick?
probably the log line.
Just you wrote like a couple pages, I think, of the script as kind of like a little trial. If it was like a page, or did you just take your whole stab at it?
Yeah, I think I wrote it.
Yeah. So, and then Nick wrote like a sample script, sent it back, and I was like, oh, this is it. Like he gets it. And then obviously it was back and forth from there, trying to like fine tune it and get it to what ultimately was the short film that we shot. But yeah, so Nick came on, wrote it, and yeah, we just shot that film last week here in the video store, and we were talking about it on set. Like, I don't know if we've ever had a production in our lifetime go as like smoothly and perfectly as that short film did, in terms of like, usually on a set, like there's moments where you have to like sacrifice certain shots or ideas because you just physically can't achieve it, or just with the gear you have or the resources or the space, something is like limited and you're like, oh, we can't do that, let's try this. Like it was literally like everything we wanted to do, we were able to do. Visually, it looked amazing. The actors killed their performances. All of the effects and the gags, which usually are sometimes when you're, directing or shooting, can be like, is this really going to register and look on camera how I see it and envision it? All of the gags like played really, really well. The scare played well. Like everything just came together so seamlessly. And I just started the edit last week before I came here to LA, and it's like, yeah, usually I'm like sitting in the edit, like going like, fuck, we didn't get that. We didn't get that. Damn, that doesn't look that great. How am I going to cut around this to make it? And like, dude, it was the most seamless editing process too, because everything was just so intentional and dialed in. And like, I don't know, it's just crazy.
No, I think part of the main reason for that is, and I think anyone listening or watching this podcast who's maybe thinking about doing a short film is writing around a space you have access to. If, that could be your bedroom, a garage, a friend's house, your dad's neighbor's arcade or auto shop, like whatever you have access to, right?
Yeah.
And for us, we had access to the video store because this is ours. We made it to be the store for Prism Lens Effects, the home of this podcast. And as filmmakers, we're like, dude, let's make this a set. And then our writer and, co-director, like who is here 3 days a week, probably, I would imagine is thinking of a bunch of shots. He's here 6-7 hours a day. So being in a space that long, you start to see it a little bit differently, right? Like, oh, what if we put the camera on the ground here, do this? Like, where when you just rent a location on Peerspace, Gigster, you're hiring or shooting at like a roller rink, you're maybe only there for a narrow window of time, maybe 6-8 hours, whatever you could afford. And you don't really afford yourself the luxury to like really like marinate in that space. And like, I think that like we came down here, I think 2 or 3 days prior to like, bring the camera in, walk through stuff.
Yeah.
We were here for like 4 hours, literally with the camera body.
Almost like shot listing, framing up.
Like, oh, dude, throw in the 28. No, let's do the 20. And then we were like, for 4 hours, like that's time that's not going against the clock on the day of shooting. So yeah, that was huge. And I think that's a testament to why it was so smooth is we afforded ourselves to be in the space prior to shooting, which, I mean, I don't know if like a lot of, even though you owned Eclectic West, think of Halloween, we really just showed up and shot it. We weren't there days and days prior.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really all comes down to the pre-production element of why it was so smooth. Obviously, like on the day, had we not had those like a day or two prior where we were walking through shot ideas and had the camera and lenses to kind of test some things and even do that little prior shoot with Vinny for on the day practical effects, like it probably wouldn't have gone as smooth because we would have been trying to find shots on the day, like, oh, how does this focal length work here? Oh yeah, that's cool, let's go for that. Or well, swing this lens, let's try and see. Oh no, that doesn't look good, let's go back. So like, yeah, definitely having that kind of those pre-production days and having access to the store absolutely helped with just the like fluidity of the shoot and not really having too many hiccups and just knowing where we're going next and how we're shooting the next shot without second guessing anything or like auditioning stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, that was definitely super, super helpful.
I also think too, like for me personally, I felt very like fulfilled creatively after that short film for a couple reasons. As we've mentioned, we built this store, right? I think we have to give ourselves credit to like the production design.
Yeah.
Like we literally had a carpenter build these shelves, paint these walls. I designed these tapes, these posters.
We went and picked out the carpet, the logo, like everything.
Switched all these fluorescent bulbs, hired, so every like part of the frame, there was like a deep sense of like ownership where when you're shooting in maybe another location, you're just shooting kind of what's already there. Even the barracks to some extent, like we've designed certain sets, but like the brick wall texture, the rusty pipes, those are just all there, right? Every single thing in this store, maybe minus the tiles on the roof, we did, you know what I mean? So I couldn't help myself while framing up being like, dude, this is so cool. Not only am I like in charge of the lighting and DPing and kind of stepping into a role I haven't done in a while, but just the actual like art department and like the set, it was just so fulfilling to like step into our own world. You know what I mean?
Can we talk about that for a second?
Just the shooting?
Just the you coming out of retirement to DP a short, because you haven't shot or DP'd anything in a long time. Even my own stuff, like the last, probably 3 short films for the horror film contest and beyond, like you have like sat back, you didn't DP, I brought on other DPs, and then all of a sudden with this one, it was just like, yo, I want to basically come out of retirement
I
to
think
shoot
part of
this.
it too is I know you and I really riffed on the idea of this film
Right.
first, and I think it stemmed when we were building it out.
Right.
And I was like, dude, we should do a short film here, and then one thing led to another, and Late Fees was born. But I think also being a little bit more involved in the story, I felt like and building the space that I really wanted to, like
See it
step
through.
back into that role. And I think the main reasons I've like removed myself from shooting probably have related to just owning companies and doing other things that like creatively fill my cup and I get enjoyment off of. And I think I've talked about it maybe in like previous quick takes episodes or even just off mic with you that, I think anyone who works, I've even mentioned it to like Will Roos and stuff, like I think when you're like a freelancer, there is kind of this like rat race mentality, and sure you have these projects that like really do like creatively fulfill you, and it makes it so rewarding. And I felt that after this short, but then there's like some that are like a real grind or a real peel. And I was fortunate to have a great crew on this short film, but I've been on other films where like the gaffer is fucking off, or it's just really hard to get people to come on because I know their value and their worth is maybe $1,000 AC rate, but I know on this short or whatever I'm working on, I maybe only have like 500 or 750. So like I always felt like I was asking a lot, and it's probably just because I really deeply care about other people, and I'm not the kind of person that just wants to like take advantage of people. And like that component of cinematography and DPing, like working with like going to a rental house and being like, hey, I only have 1,000 and the camera order is like 5K, and it's like trying to negotiate them down. Owning businesses and owning studios, I get asked all the time, hey, the rental rate's coming in at 2,400, can you do it for 1,000? Like I don't like being that person like asking for a lot, you know what I mean? So that kind of pushed me away from wanting to shoot. And I guess for this one it was just like I don't know, it was actually so much fun because I remember Sam, even the producer on the project, like after the first day, he was just like, bro, like, great work. And then he's like, bro, I could tell you were like locked in. Like you just looked like you were. And then and then even my wife who came and visit, she was like, dude, it was cool like seeing you like super focused on everything. And I was like, dang, I don't know, like it definitely, the itch was scratched, and I had a great time doing it.
I mean, it definitely felt like you didn't miss a step. You know what I mean? Like you didn't seem like lost or bewildered or deer in the headlights. It definitely felt like you just like settled right back in and we're going at it. And like I was telling you on the day when we were shooting, and I think this is just from years of working with you, I had like so much confidence where in like years past on these short films where I brought in these other DPs that I haven't maybe had this rapport working relationship with over the years, I felt like every frame and moment and like second on set, I had to like really coach and direct them and be on top of them. Whereas like on these 2 shoot days, production days, like as we're shooting, I could go off and talk to Sam or Kyle or Vinny and rally with the actors or Sam and let him know like, hey, we need this for the next scene, blah, blah, blah. And just know the set and the lighting and everything was like being taken care of. And I didn't have to like, hey, like how close, like I didn't have to like hover. And I felt like I would walk back, or I would get someone coming yanking me back like, yo, Jake, we're ready. And like I didn't have to like babysit.
For sure.
And I didn't. I don't think I had to at all.
No,
you know
100%,
I mean?
man. No, it was ultimately like, dude, I could go on forever. And it's funny because like even the days after the short film, and still to this day, I'm like, dang, like I wonder if I pursue this a bit more, like maybe cut together like a reel, or put together like an updated site or something. Like it kind of had me wanting to do this a bit more, you know what I mean? So
do you think like like you would want to do, is it more specific like short film stuff,
I think more
DP
narrative
in general
stuff.
or like because for me, like dude, I don't even know if anyone outside of like a close friend like Sam King or Kyle could get me to like do a music video. Like if someone came to me right now, unless it was like some really fun big artist budget song that I like really fucked with, like dude, if Eminem or Jid like came to me and like somehow wanted a music video, like I'd be all game. But like I just have, at least for me, personal like zero interest in like music videos or shooting or directing music videos nowadays. Like I think for me, I'm like solely focused on, I'm at just a different stage in my life. Like I just want to do narrative work whether that's like short films, feature films, indie films, or work towards or whatever, like that's like outside of our companies, like the day-to-day work we do for, you know, Prism and the studios and Tropic and whatever. Like I love and enjoy that. But like the production side of me outside of those businesses day to day really has only interest in like, yeah, just narrative work. I don't know if it's like the same for
No,
you
yeah, I
or
think for me, like I'm in the season of my life and creative like mind of like where I want to be. I think I'm good to close the chapter on like our, you know, starting out doing music videos and stuff. And I think on another episode we talked about music videos, and you know I think like our roots are deeply connected to that. But I think it's okay to like move forward in life and not have what you're known for to like define your whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel the same way. It kind of relates to, and I guess what I was trying to get at is like just because we started out doing music videos doesn't mean like that's what we have to like be known for the rest of our like creative careers. Like
Right.
I love even seeing like David Fincher, right? Started out, I think, in commercials or music videos, even Michael Bay, and like segued into narrative. And bro, I don't think they touch music videos anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's okay to like naturally like shift your interests, because over time, like your interests change. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there was a moment where, yeah, we loved doing the little run and gun things and renting the cool little camera rigs. I don't know. I get way more like creative satisfaction seeing a snippet from our short film where it's just dialogue. I mean, literally a bulk of our short film is just over the shoulders, but
Dialogue.
really well written dialogue, and like seeing the performances change. And you know, I don't know, like that to me was far more interesting than like a hypey, you know, crazy thing with strobing. I don't know, like I get way more interest in shooting like narrative projects, I guess.
Okay, so with that being said, the horror film contest is coming up. You've kind of joked around like a number of times, not just once, about like, yeah, I've been thinking about entering a film under my own, like an alias,
I
or
don't know
is
if
that
I
all a
have time.
joke? Or yeah,
I thought about it. It would be like I was like, it'd be very hard to pull off because I feel like
yeah,
time wise, I just don't have that
Right.
much available time.
Yeah.
I thought it would be funny though if I just like under like a moniker, like who's the director that did Ocean's 11 who like now like DPs his own films with a different moniker?
Is this Soderbergh? No.
Yeah.
Is it Soderbergh?
So if you go into
Yeah.
credits as a cinematographer, he just made an alias. He just DPs his own movies, but it's under like Brian something, you know what I mean? So I thought it'd be kind of funny to like, oh, just enter a film, and then it'd be funny to see. I just don't have time though, for sure.
That's
I think
true.
like I'm looking at our film as like our entry into it because we just poured so much into this thing.
Yeah, and I guess we could touch on that really quickly too, how that even came about, because like over the years, all of the short films that we've done have been completely self-funded, from, you know, top to bottom. Some have been done for like literally no money, free, $500, $1,000. Some, you know, I've poured a number of my own personal finances in. I think the most expensive one being the Calupaluit, which was like, yeah, a little over $20,000. But we've always self-funded our own projects and short films. But this one was a little different and unique as FearPix, like a free streaming platform service for like horror films and whatnot, actually funded this short film. And I don't know, I think that's something interesting and something that's like cool to touch on, because like that opportunity of getting this idea of ours funded and being able to bring it to life of what otherwise would cost $15,000 to $20,000, you know, in the way we did it, didn't, you know, we were able to get it funded and bring that idea to life through this. And that happened because of that groundwork that we laid, doing all those short films and the horror film contest. Like for a little context, FearPix had stumbled across on Instagram and online all of the, you know, this past year's horror film contest in 2024 and everything I was doing with that and all of the film entries and then my short film and what we did. And they had reached out to me and was just like, hey, we want to learn more about what it is you're doing with these short films and this contest. And then from there, you know, we just chatted and they're like, hey, like, we'd love to like fund your next 3, you know, short films / talk about maybe like sponsoring, you know, next year's horror film contest. And, all of that happened because of that groundwork that we laid, right? Taking those risks and those chances of just like funding our own ideas, going out, making a movie. This opportunity to make this film with them wouldn't have happened without, you know, us doing all that. And so I guess I say that to say, like, if you have an idea and you've been kicking around like wanting to make a film, like you need to go do it and find ways to go do it, whether that's like saving up the money to do it yourself, trying to crowdfund through like Indiegogo or whatever. We've personally never done that. Like I said, we've always self-funded, but I know people will crowdfund and raise money from friends, or just, you know, collectively all get together to do that. But it'll be interesting to see like where this film goes and this idea goes, and the relationship with Fear Picks afterwards too. Cause like I know they've already like seen a couple of our other shorts and loved how, you know, those turned out, and we're like, hey, what's your idea for like an indie feature for this? And then this, I know we've riffed and talked about the idea for late fees of where it could go for an indie feature. And I've touched on previous videos, podcasts, YouTube videos, the story of like Roy Lee and Vertigo Entertainment when they saw our short film, The Strangers, on YouTube, and was like, yo, like if you bring me a short film that's, you know, scary, original, and shows that you could do a job as a director, like I'll get you a $5 million feature. And that was from us just doing what did The Strangers cost? Like $2,000, $1,500, just the gear.
Yeah.
Everyone was just friends coming together. We put out that short on YouTube and it caught the attention of a Hollywood producer. Like that, like we just.
And let's talk about that film for a second, because we literally, I think at the time, man, what car did I have? I think I might have had
hatchback.
Yeah, and I literally went to Wood Nickel in Los Angeles, grabbed a generator, an M18, Stinger stands, drove from California, left at like 4 p.m., got into Arizona at like 2 a.m., drove straight to Payson, and then literally the next day, we literally made 3 short films, and fun fact, tested out our Prisms,
yeah,
which
that's
led
when we were
to
launching Prism.
Whole, you know, which is crazy. But I mean, that film literally, I mean, because someone watching or listening to this might be like, oh, well, it's easy. You guys said you know, 15K, all these, you know, red cameras and crew. We did so much on our own, like, mind you, for 2 or 3K for that film, probably less. Yeah, I'm just thinking that money was probably just the gas and the food, but like no one made a rate. We were just doing it for the love of wanting to make something really cool. And, I mean, shoot, I was camera operating, DPing, gaffing, I guess key gripping with, you know, I did everything, right? Pulling focus, you know, and then you're directing, producing, editing. So I just want to say that a great film can be made without like a massive crew. Because I'm even sure, as we're talking about earlier in the episode, the editor of this will probably sprinkle in some behind the scenes from our recent short film.
Right.
And it can be easy to get discouraged when you see the ladder pods and the red and the matte box and the cinema lenses. I mean, we've been at this for 10 years, so that's just a natural progression. But if you're like a filmmaker, like, dude, I want to make a short film, go make it. Like, you don't need all this gear. The gear is nice. It affords you certain luxuries on set. Like, we shot on the Red Raptor, and it was very nice. You know, obviously the sensor's beautiful, but even just the little nuances of like, oh, it's like, let's get a little more shallowed up the field without wasting any time, bothering the AC, flying the matte box, swing a filter. You could just change the internal NDs by 1/3 of a stop.
Yeah.
So like, really, that's what the money gets you. It affords you certain luxuries on set. The wireless tap, you could be looking at the monitor. You don't have to be like craning your neck over mine. Realistically though, you could still make a film without all those luxuries. Right. It's just, it allows you to like operate at a higher level. But really, I guess what I'm trying to say is go make a movie. You could literally make a movie with anything. I mean, shoot even the iPhone with the Blackmagic app. I mean, shoot the 28 Years Later shot on like iPhone. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that can be done.
Well, there's I mean, even Nick, who's behind recording this this podcast right now, last year when I was, obviously every year I host the horror film contest, and there's many of those entries that are done super low budget, which is friends coming together with a mirrorless Sony A7S III camera or whatever that don't have these elaborate setups. And sure, some of the crews have these bigger setups, but also like some of the ones that have done the best aren't the ones that like visually shot on like a crazy expensive camera or this or that. Like they just have like a really good story, and they're scary, and they, you know, adhere to the rules really well and score high. Like that's what matters, is like the story, the acting, just the overall production in that way. You're not gonna like, you know, you don't just have a great film just because it visually like looks cool or was shot.
That is? Every single person on one of those shorts, and I'm maybe going to reference one from I think 2 years ago where it was like a bunch of firefighters. Oh yeah. They all just came together. They're firefighters, but they came together, they found this barn, and they made an amazing film. Like, and hopefully we can find the clip and you can see like it
Yeah.
has like Fincher quality, like tones and darkness and the
score was
music.
great.
And I think the reason that one was so successful is not a single person on that crew was there because they needed a day rate. And I'm not trying to make this me on some soapbox, Apple box, being like, oh, everyone's overcharging. That's not what I'm saying. I know we all need to live and eat, but sometimes you just need to come together and eat creatively. And I
Yeah.
can tell the films that I've enjoyed the most is where every single person on that set was there because they wanted to make something super fucking cool. Not because like, oh, I'm getting $650 because my lens is being rented on this job. It's like, no, they're there because they are going to make it dope. You know what I mean? And you can tell like Disinfectant, I forget the name of the firefighter one. Like so many of those films, you could just tell are like friends, just like, dude, let's just make this so cool. You know what I mean?
The coming together, just wanting to make something cool. And
yeah,
going back to Nick, I mean, I know he shot it. He directed it, shot it, started it himself. I think he had like his girlfriend, now fiance, and like one of his buddies help him shoot it. There was like 3 of them. And he just kind of did everything in his house, again, around what he knew. And it was like a good story, good, like just like overall, it was like really good and made the top 15. And a lot of the films were like Nick's, where it's just like these like core small teams coming together, just wanting to make something cool. It didn't have the craziest budgets or this or that. And those are the films like that really like stand out when you can see that you can almost feel like there's just like a different level of like kind of passion behind it. Because there are some films that I'm watching, I'm like, man, this is visually stunning, but there's just not like a lot of depth to it and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, so many of our, honestly, like, I think my favorite short films we've done have all been the ones, we've talked about this, that have been the smallest budgets. Like Cat and Mouse. There's no budget on that.
Of our films, you're saying. Yeah.
Cat and Mouse, no budget, basically. The Strangers, no budget. Hold'em, no budget. Like, it was all the, like, even Convenience, which is, like, a fun little one, like, no budget. And then I look at all the ones where it's, like, we had, like, bigger budgets, more toys, more crew outside of late fees, and I'm like, those are like the films I like the least. And I think
it's crazy how it works out like that.
I really like what you're saying, but first we need to just thank today's sponsor, Prism Lens Effects. The No Late Fees podcast is powered by Prism Lens Effects, which makes various filmmaking photography products specifically in the filter space to allow you to author your images in camera on set. We came up directing, shooting music videos, and we were always looking for fun ways to do in-camera effects and tricks. So we started and founded Prism Lens Effects back in 2018, and since then have grown and become this big global brand. So if you are ever in town or in LA and need to pick up a product, come to the Prism Lens Effects video store and pick something up. You can also save 15% online when you use code NLF15. That's no late fees 15. NLF15 for 15% off your next order. So yeah, next time you're thinking about experimenting with some in-camera effects, whether it's for a photo shoot, video shoot, we hope that you'll reach for Prism Lens Effects.
I think too, and like I said, I want to be careful because I understand that people work on sets to make a living, right? To AC, you have AC rates, gaffer rates. In our circumstance, I think I'm referencing maybe Halloween and Qualipit. Other than you, me, Sam, the DP, most of the people there didn't read the script, don't really know what's going on. They're just there because they understood, oh, I'm making X today.
Yeah.
And they obviously did their job. I mean, focus puller, everything looks, airtight. But like when you don't really have that many people who are like extremely passionate about the project on like a short film level, it shows. You know what I mean?
How do you find that? How do you get that? I feel like that's so many people's questions, right? Like, how do I find or get people that like want to be?
Who has access to a gaffer who's just down to work off of like vibes and loving the script? And here's the thing. As you scale up beyond your niche of friends and maybe your ideas get loftier and loftier, you do need to hire specialists. If you want to do oneers that fly in, you do need a Steadicam and a focus puller. So it is this sort of like sliding scale. But I think like even with our short film, we like kind of reeled it back visually. Like we didn't do any crazy dollies and Fisher and cranes. The whole thing's on a tripod. I think sometimes like reeling back the not going as big and lofty, visually, like in terms of the visual language, can allow you to like execute on a higher level. Because I noticed like whenever you do like crazy rigs and stuff, I just feel like you lose a lot of time for a shot that maybe will be in the final edit for like a snippet. It's like I'd rather just put that time into extra takes or better lighting. So I don't know. I guess it's a side tangent, but I've noticed like that's where usually like the budget can get super inflated is when you like want to do an overhead rig or these crazy, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like to me, I've never really wanted to like waste time on that. You know what I mean?
Well, I
So,
know even for the short we were talking about for that final shot, doing like a dolly into the tape or this or that, and like just even adding that not only set up time on the day, but yeah, the cost of that rental and then the truck or person to pick it up and
oh my
all that stuff.
God.
All of a sudden, that like that one shot adds like just so much money and time to the budget that's like not really needed, and we're able to like, okay, creatively, how do we kind of get that same idea or shot across without having to do a dolly? And we were just like, oh, let's just do a zoom lens.
On
And
the
like,
note of the Zoom, and I want to give both of ourselves credit. You know, I think it's very easy when something is not really going to plan to like lose your cool, point blame at people. I've worked with people when I was operating steady more where the focus was off, right? Maybe they're shooting wide open at night and I'm flying in and out and I can hear on the comm the DP being like, we got to go again, fucking AC, buzz the focus. And it like instantly is that person deviating blame to another person. And in an instance of our short, we had a zoom lens, never used it, didn't even open the crate to put on the lens until we needed it, right?
right.
And that could have been me being like, oh, the AC should have prepped that. Why wasn't it working? I could have been, you could be like, Tom, dude, you've had this lens for 3 days. Why? There was like a good 15 or 20 minutes where like, dude, like, I don't think we just didn't like, it was a servo zoom and you had to like set it up a certain way where you can actually control the zoom on the lens and it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And it could have been very easy for you to be like, fuck, storm off, dude, this shot's so important, and just kill the vibe. And like our chances of being able to figure that out probably would have diminished because now I'm in my head like, oh, fuck, Jake's pissed. So like all to say, like losing your cool on set is a really quick way to like diminish all returns of like actually solving that problem. And we just took 15, we figured it out. And that was like one of my favorite shots we did. You know
Well,
what
I think
mean?
I even came up to you at one point. I was like, hey, yo, it's fine. If we can't get it, let's just do a tripod shot, close, medium. And I can do these. I can see myself doing like hard cuts in the edit where it's jumping back. And you're like, no, like we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But yeah, you're right. I could have been like, yo,
dude, I've even worked with like directors who like passive aggressive, like, guess we're not getting my favorite shot of the movie, or like under the breath,
so
just
crazy.
stupid stuff like that. Where now I'm like, it's messing up my thought process, and like, I almost attribute like filmmaking like going to war because you really are in the trenches. Dude, it was like 110 in here. It felt so hot. Like it's like we're all suffering to some degree to like make the best thing possible. 12 hours shooting to 4 a.m. We're not just doing this for vibes. Like we're doing this because we're like going to war together.
Right.
So early on in war, if your buddy, your general is just like, I don't care if you die, or like says something where you're like, says something that like messes with you, it's going to mess up your vibe the rest of the day. So like that was a pretty early on shot. If you're like, dude, what the hell, man? Like I needed the shot. You let me down. The rest of the day, I probably wouldn't have delivered anything of any use because I would have been really in my head. So all of a long deviated way of saying like, just be nice to your people. Cause like I've been, like it sucks. Sometimes there are things that are not ideal. You know what I mean? And it's like, I've just always tried to like talk to people the way I would like to be talked to, and just coming up in the rat race of working with different like music video directors, I've been treated like absolute shit, and like I just refuse to work with those people. You know what I mean?
Has there ever been a time early on that I like can recall any moments where you're just like it just stuck with you where I said
there was one time on an air video, and it was not the air video that you're probably thinking of where we're on the beach, because that one there was other variables. It was like an air video that we did at Corova Studio where we had like a fish tank and wide lenses, and that was where I think your phone got broken by that super duper guy. But I remember like this is also when I was kind of in my early DP bag where I was like very hell bent on like using a light meter, and I remember like filming a scene and I like all my like Chapman dudes coming to help me, and like I'm coming off of like shooting a thesis film, like I feel like I'm very in my like cine DP bag, and I'm busting out my little Sekonic light meter. I'm like, all right, it's a 2.8, key lights up, and you're on the monitor like, dude, it looks dark. I'm like, well, dude, it's a 2.8, like it's set. And he's like, no, and you just like opened up the lens to a 1.4, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? But I wasn't pissed. I was just like, I guess he doesn't really give a fuck about my light meter. But and in all actuality, it probably was a little dark. So I think you had the right instinct. But I just remember being like a little like not in my feelings, but I was like, oh, I guess he doesn't like respect. But no, it's just it is what it is, dude. I had one instance. I have to share this story because I really just got sent that trailer, that film I showed you that I shot in Mississippi like 4 or 5 years ago. This is the only time I've ever walked off set. I was pissed.
Oh, you walked off on set on that one?
Dude, I was shooting in this, I mean, dude, speak about hot shooting conditions. We were in Mississippi in July and August. So it's like 100% humidity, probably 90, 100 degrees out. We're dripping, right? Let me just set the scene. We're also wearing like tons of what do you call it, mosquito repellent, because there's just bugs
Oh, so it's
infesting in the
just
whole area. So it
oily
almost like
and
seals
drippy.
your skin. So you're like sweat. Like, so I'm already, vibes are horrible. We're shooting in this attic. So it was almost like that one
Yeah,
Washington thing
in
where you're just
Washington D.C.
dripping sweat. And right before this scene, they're like, oh, the hero prop is missing. We need this hero prop for the continuity. Art department's like, cool, I need 30 minutes. Let me go grab this prop. So he gets back, props there. And they're like, all right, roll camera. I was like, no, like the prop's in. Let me just tweak the lighting a little bit. And the guy's like, no. And he like literally walked over and he hit the record button on the camera. He's like, we're rolling. And then I looked at him. I was like, dude, art department can get 30 minutes to go fetch a prop. I can't get 5 minutes to tweak the lighting. He's like, dude, I told you we're rolling. I was like, all right, fine. You shoot the movie then. And I just like walked off set and literally just like went outside for like 15, 20 minutes.
Dang.
And then the director came out and he was just like, dude, I'm so sorry. I almost felt a little embarrassed. Like, dude, I've never done that. But like
Wow.
we were all kind of, and me and the first AD like squashed it afterwards. But I was like, it was just like the worst possible shooting conditions. And that like, it was just like that straw that like broke the camel's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to think if there's.
I mean,
any-
that DMV shoot, Delaware, Maryland,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Washington, I think we were like in that weird little like in between in that auto mechanic. We've, lamented about how horrible that was, but that was pretty bad where you were literally wringing out your shirt and it was just like,
I think the only time that I've ever had a moment like that where I've like walked off set or got into like a tussle, so to speak, with the crew or the director was when I was DPing that ASU baseball show, and the director and the producer of this project were very green, and obviously I had come up in LA and worked on so many projects and sets, and like having a meal and snacks, especially lunch at or a meal every like 6 hours or so, it's like pretty standard. And I'm not like super by the book, oh, I'm gonna hit you with meal penalties, all this stuff, but like I'm super relaxed. Like I understand sometimes like we got to just push and get the shot or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember I had shot like for probably like 7-8 hours in a row at this stadium from the morning through like the batting practice, through the whole game and after, and like interviews and everything. And we're like, I had not eaten. They had never once came to give me food. We didn't have food on site. It was kind of this very run and gun doc. And we get on the bus to head back to the stadium. And I remember I text both of them and I'm like with the players, I'm not with them. And I'm like, hey guys, like I really need food. Like I'm starving. And they kind of like were joking around in the text message back to me like, oh, Jake needs food, da, 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 da. Like making like poking fun or jokes and like just making light of the situation. And like, I'm dying here.
Oh, dude, you're also in Arizona.
Oh,
It's like,
Arizona,
100
it's
degrees
hot.
out.
I'm
Yeah.
hungry, blah, blah, blah. And like, and I just remember it had like, it officially
That
like,
would have struck a nerve for sure.
it sent me. And when we got back to the stadium and we're all gathering and we're about to go shoot some more stuff, they're like, all right, let's go. We got to do this, do these shots. And I was like, I'm not moving. And like, they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I need to eat. I have not eaten all day. You guys did not give me food. Da, da, da. And they were like, still like poking fun about it. Like, just like, oh, we'll get you some food, bro. Don't worry. It's not that big a deal. And I just remember like unloading on them. And then I just
taking the battery off the camera.
yeah, I did. I literally did. I just walked away with the camera. I was like, good luck. Like, and
Yeah.
then they like came back and apologized. We're like, oh, sorry, dude. Like, but it was just like,
That's a weird thing
yo,
to like,
you don't
joke
like,
around,
you don't
especially
joke.
when you can like read the room. It's like, dude, he's clearly upset. Let's like postmate him something.
Yeah, it was
or-
very strange. It was
Yeah.
very weird. I'll never forget that. But that's like the only time I've ever like really got upset and like done anything on set where I walked away or fought with
For
anyone
sure.
or
And
whatever.
look, I obviously, like I mentioned, like I wasn't like proud of myself. It was just one of those things where like, dude, there are, as I mentioned, sometimes going to war a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
there's times where it's like, this is tough. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I've never like unloaded on someone where like, focus buzz or lights crap where I'm like, what the fuck? Because like I mentioned, like that now is just going to mess up their vibe. You know what I mean? I've literally witnessed it. Like I said, I was on a music video, steady camming, DP, we're all on the intercoms like, dude, fucking get the focus, man. We're not going again. I literally look over to the AC. I was like, you heard that, right? And I could just see he was just like, he was like deconstructing. It wasn't like his performance. You would think like he's gonna get better, bro. He's like getting worse. I'm like, dude, why would you?
Yeah,
say that
there
to
was
someone?
there was a couple moments on the short film where focus was like being buzzed or it got missed, and I was just like, oh, let's go again, focus buzz, like,
Yeah.
But like, imagine if I was just like, guy fucking missed focus. Let's go again. Like,
Yeah.
like let's get a, you know, like,
come on, man. What are we paying you for? No, exactly. Like that would like, he'd probably walk or just be really
be upset.
pissed.
But
Yeah.
also it's just like, dude, what an asshole thing to do.
No, for
Everyone else
sure.
on the crew would be like, yo, fuck Jake. Like,
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess to really kind of land the plane on this episode, like this was a ton of fun. Like I loved building this space. I love being able to like shoot the space. I think we've always talked about like creating spaces that we would want to shoot. And a lot of the design of so many of our other studios are spaces that we get to use. And like even last night, we literally built a concert venue set just on the other side of this wall. In January, and yesterday was like the first time that you and I got to test it, and I was like, "Yo, this looks so good." You know what I mean? So
no, that's probably still one of my favorite. I mean, outside of this one, this one might be up there for one of our favorite sets that we built. But that concert venue set, from the bathroom, the green room, the hallway to the stage, is like, I think easily one of my favorite sets that we've ever built. It looks so good on camera. And yesterday was like the first time we really got to like kind of trial run, test it, put it through its paces, light it, shoot it, which was a lot of fun. I think we talk about that all the time. Like creating the spaces is like just another creative outlet for us. But then being able to like see other people light it and shoot it is like a lot of fun. But then being able to use it for our own like productions and things, like imagine the cost that would have been associated with going to rent out a location like that for the day for our shoot. Like Prism Lens Effects, we just tested and had a full test night running through and testing all of our new unreleased filters to get examples, videos, reels, promo content for these drops over the next few months at literally no cost, $0 spent.
Yeah.
Like we have the location. There was no time crunch. Even the guy that we were meeting to show him his filters, like, yo, you guys on a time crunch? I was like, no, like we can be here all night if we want to.
Yeah.
Like there's so much value in having your own space in that way. And I think it's just been, creating the spaces has not only been like creatively fulfilling, but it's also been like a huge beneficial bonus to like our businesses as well. It's fun, man.
It is really cool, man.
It's
I
cool.
mean, I feel very like privileged that we're in a spot where we like, even on our short film, I've mentioned it before, shooting in a space that our thumbprint is all over this room. But even in a moment where we want to get a crazy macro shot, to literally go into our inventory room, pop a product out, put it in the map box, and it's like, dude, this is so sick. Like we're literally, I mean, it's fortunate because we're shooting where our store is, so our inventory is right over there. But it was like, and we're literally getting like amazing macro shots. And it's just like, I'm just like taking a moment, like we're in our store that we built. We're using our filters that we designed, like for a short that we wrote. I'm like, dude, this is so cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's kind of
like,
crazy.
That's the way I want to move forward in filmmaking, is be heavily involved in products where I deeply care about the outcome, and not just be a gun for hire. Like, hey, you available next Saturday? 1,500. You want to pull up DP this video for Janae Aiko? And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't know the song. I don't know her. I don't know the creative. I want to be deeply involved in projects that I like care about what they look like. You know what I mean?
And where you have your fingerprint on like the various
And that's
aspects.
why I think a feature film would be so much fun, because like the indies that I've done with my friends from Chapman, it felt like what we had captured last week. We're all just down to make something super cool. And like I sent it to you and I sent it to Nick. I'm very proud of it. The film that I shot like 6 years ago just got distribution. And it looks amazing. And like I didn't make $1 on that. I spent a whole month in Mississippi, and it was like, I love how that turned out, because it felt like summer camp. You know what I mean? Right. And for us to do maybe our short film on a bigger scale, where every day we're in the trenches, like that'd be sick. You know
I think that's the next step for us, is just like getting that funding, or getting someone to finance it, or if we just say fuck it and finance it and fund it ourselves.
Shopify loan.
And Shopify loan to make a film would be a crazy story.
Dude, that'd be wild.
We just pull out a Shopify loan to go make
for anyone who has
do that.
Shopify, they offer you funding at a horrible interest rate, but like if your business is about to implode, you can like take a Hail Mary, like 20% interest for, anyways, that would be wild to do. Actually, I'm sure our business manager would be like, what did you guys just do? But anyways, I appreciate the watch, the listen. We're having fun making this pod. As you can see, this video store looks awesome, and we plan on making episodes as often as we can. And I appreciate you guys tuning in again.
So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If there's certain like topics that you guys want to see us touch on or cover, let us know in the comments below. If there's any questions you guys have, because we want this podcast to be for the people. We don't want to just like hear us talk. Like we want it to be educational, motivational, inspirational. So yeah, if there's any questions you guys have or topics you guys would love us to touch further on or expand on, we'd love to hear your guys' input.
Yeah, and I guess lastly too, I think every podcast asks you to do this, but if you could leave a little review at the bottom of Apple Pod, Spotify, wherever you're listening, I think those are the two main ones that make a difference for us. It would mean a lot, even if you're just like a little nugget of info of like, hey, I love that you talked about this.
Yeah.
Keep recording it. Just those little things are the small victories that, I just don't want to be putting these things out into a void. I'm like, is anyone even listening or responding? So even just taking a minute to like leave a review or a YouTube comment lets us know that you guys are there and you guys are listening. And I don't know. Yeah, it would mean a lot.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So,
but yeah, till next one. Peace.